What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 54 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here as always with the Council of Villains, Abe and Steve, and we have a great show in store for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking some movie news. We're going to be talking about the Spider-Man No Way Home release, and then we're going to be getting into our full spoilers review of Batman Year One. We thought it would be a great idea to talk about Batman Year One right before the Batman comes out, that is focusing on Batman's Year 2. So we thought it would be really fitting. Shout out to Chris Conkling for recommending that we review this. And it's the first of the month where we usually do comic recommendations. And today we're going to be doing a review. So we have a fun show for you guys. This is one of my favorite Batman comics. Frank Miller does such a good job every time he touches the Batman character, so I can't wait to get into the comic review in itself. But Abe, Steve, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
What's good? What's good? You know what it is. It's the Mad Prince himself stepping in the building. Good to see everybody. Truth be told, I've actually never read Year One until now, and man, do I have some some very strong words with this comic, that's for sure.
Okay.
But hey, it's been a great week. I hope everybody's been well. Happy Friday. You know what it is. As always, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here after me getting to see the sneak peek yesterday. So, it's very, very exciting to get to talk about Batman for a couple of weeks, really, after seeing what we've seen. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to just be in a whole Batman vibe for basically about a week.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it already, check out my non-spoiler review of the Batman. It's up on the channel right now. Definitely check it out after tonight's live show. Like Steve mentioned, we're going to go into another brief non-spoiler talk on the Batman real quick, just to get Steve's thoughts on it, because I absolutely love the movie. Again, if you've seen my review, I gushed about the movie for like 15 minutes straight. I had like a longer review, but I had to cut it down because I was starting to get into spoilers and I had to cut it down because I was just having so much fun talking about this incredible film. But before we get there, quick announcement. Just wanted to announce that the C4S team is doing Women in Cinema, 31 days of Women in Cinema on the social media channels. So every single day, we're going to be talking about a film or an actor, or director, whatever it is, where we focus on a woman in cinema. Today we did the film Kimmy, starring Zoe Kravitz, who is also playing Catwoman, so I thought it would have been pretty fitting to do that today as well. Kimmy is a really cool psychological thriller, crime thriller. Zoe Kravitz is really good in the movie. Steven Soderbergh directed it. He's a really good director, so I highly recommend checking out Kimmy on HBO Max if you haven't already. So let's get into it real quick. Steve, why don't you give the people your non-spoiler quick thoughts on the Batman?
Oh, man. If you're a real Batman fan like we are, this is a really good Batman movie. If you're one of those casual Batman fans that just you want to see straight up action, don't care about actual Batman lore and stuff like that, it'll just be an okay movie for you, I think. But for the true Batman fans, this was legit. It was a really good movie. It's got the detectiveness. There's a lot of times where you're like, oh, does he got it together? And he doesn't got it together. And you're like, oh, if he would have been, Batman that we see in the third Dark Knight or something, he would have had it together. But he doesn't really necessarily have it together sometimes. And I really appreciated that they stuck with that. They didn't stray away from it. They stuck with the fact that it is the second year. He's only been doing this for 2 years and he still has to figure everything out, and he's figuring it out. I loved Detective Gordon. Uh, he did really good, and it's funny because I listened to the audio podcast where he's Batman, he's Bruce Wayne in the audio podcast. So for him to be playing
Jeffrey Wright.
Bruce Wayne, Jeffrey Wright's Bruce Wayne, and then he turns around and he's doing Detective Gordon. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So he's kind of two main detectives in DC right now. I thought Zoe Kravitz did a really good job as Catwoman. I really, really enjoyed old dude as Riddler. I can't think of his name right now.
Paul
What's
Dano.
the Paul Dano as Riddler was really fucking good. Like he was legit really good. And I'm really, really excited to see what else they have in store for like because from the way it ended, there'll probably be another Batman, and I'm really excited to see what they have in store for the future because that first one was really, really good. And then as he adapts and he grows as a detective, as a hero, and things like that, I'm really interested to see how they shape that out.
Facts, man. Like I'll just echo everything that you just said. Like it's an incredible film. It's a true detective Batman story. If you had to look at it, I would describe the film as a crime drama that happens to star Batman as the lead detective. Right,
Facts.
so you have to go into it looking at it like that. It's a grounded crime thriller, and I love that about it. Like that's some of my favorite stuff about Batman. Period, is when he has to be the detective. He has to use his intellect, his smarts, and not just his fists in order to win the day. And that's something that he has to do a lot in this film. Another thing that I like is he's pretty much Batman the whole movie. Right, you
Mhm.
never like he is dressed up as Bruce Wayne, but he's Batman the whole movie, which is what you want, right? Because that's who he is. He has
Mhm.
to put on the Bruce Wayne persona when he has to, right? So
Mhm.
that's something else that they did really well. Colin Farrell as Penguin, amazing. Zoe
Mhm.
Kravitz, amazing. Like you already mentioned, Jeffrey Wright. They have this like really cool like buddy cop relationship. Like I love watching them like interrogate people and all of these
Yeah.
different things. So, yeah, man. If you haven't seen the Batman yet, go see it. Strap in. It's 3 hours long, but it has such good pacing. It all flies by really, really quickly. And don't worry, you'll get those fights. And when you get those fights, they're really fucking brutal. This is a very angry, vengeful detective Batman. So strap
Yeah.
the fuck in. It was amazing. Mercenary, I love Falcone. John Turturro's Falcone was amazing. This
Facts.
dude, like when he's on, man. Like the dude gives such like a subtle but super creepy and intense performance as Falcone. Incredible performance. I can't wait to see it again. I'm seeing it tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. so I can review it on Popaholics tomorrow night. Then I'm seeing it on Sunday again. Like I'm just obsessed. I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah. It's really good. He's a really good Falcone too. I was really, really surprised at like how it all like shaped out too, because I was kind of like wondering like because every time you see these Batman movies, they kind of do these dual villains type things now, and so we've never seen the Riddler and Penguin kind of like interact, you know what I'm saying, in the headspace. So it's kind of like cool to see how that dynamic played out with them two being in the same movie. So I was really surprised at how it was going because I was like, okay, how are you going to do this mobster thing with the Riddler? And it actually worked out, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, really, really well. And like we were talking about it off air, but they've set it up perfectly for not only one sequel but for sequels. It's completely open for a lot of different things to happen. So I'm very excited for you guys to see it. Can't wait for us to talk about it. Make sure you guys come back here on March 11th, next Friday. We're going to be doing a full spoilers breakdown on the Batman. It's going to be a really fun time. So make sure you guys are strapped in for that. So moving on to our next piece of news. So Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Punisher, Defenders are all going to Disney Plus on March 16th. Very, very excited about this. This is something we speculated on. Some people thought that they would go to Hulu. I didn't think that would be the case because earlier on when Disney acquired Fox, we knew that there was going to be a mature content section on Disney Plus for all of 28th Century Studios movies. So I'm glad to see that they're moving forward with that. And it also proves what Kevin Feige said, which was that Moon Knight was going to be in the same vein as Daredevil and like The Punisher and all that. So it's
Mm.
all on there. March 16th coming up real soon. So Abe, I'll start with you. Like, are you excited about this? Did you think it was going to go to Hulu at any point?
Uh, Initially in the beginning, yeah, I was on that. It was going to go to Hulu train, and then I kind of just forgot about it and didn't think much of it. So when they said it was going to Disney Plus, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Why not? You know. But I am truly, truly, truly excited that it's all going to be in one section again, because I'm about to re-binge all of them. And yes, that includes Iron Fist. Yes, that absolutely includes. I will watch Iron Fist again.
I don't have a problem with Iron Fist. I like it. It's
Look,
not as good as any of the other shows.
It's the weakest one for sure. It's the weakest one for sure. But just I'm excited. I'm excited to see all of them because whoop, camera just wild out. I'm excited to see all of them just because it also to me it means like, all right, we're going to see a continuation of these characters, again, whether it's in a film, even if it's a cameo, just like everything is like, it reaffirms that everything is connected now. The multiverse is here, so we can have whatever we absolutely want. And that's really exciting for me. So yeah, I'm gonna be binging a lot on Disney Plus very, very soon. In the next couple of weeks, once that drops, March 16th, watch out. Disney Plus is gonna be heavy in this house.
Oh yeah, like I started rewatching Daredevil a couple weeks ago, and it still holds up, man. Like that show is incredible. Like I stopped right after the first encounter between him and the Punisher. They're on the rooftop and he's chained up, and they have that incredible line of dialogue for like half the fucking episode. I'm like, this is the kind of comic book shit that I like. Yes, of course, I like watching them fight criminals, but this kind of stuff, the battle of ideologies between these two vigilantes, and like it's incredible, dude. But Steve, what about you?
And real quick, my fault, Steve, real quick too. Just imagine Daredevil, Punisher, Moon Knight, all interacting in the scene. Just those three personalities and the actors that play them too.
You know what's gonna happen?
I need that. But go ahead, Steve.
So I never thought that it was going to be on Hulu unless they were just going to be petty as hell. Like you taking a Netflix property and putting it on Hulu. I was like, they about to be petty if they do that. I always thought it was going to Disney Plus when I heard that it was leaving Netflix. So I'm actually excited about it. I never actually, don't kill me, finished The Punisher. I've only watched the first 3 episodes and I hadn't never finished it.
I haven't finished season 2, so don't feel bad.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I need to finish The Punisher.
I mean, he hasn't even finished the first season.
Yeah. I haven't even finished, but I only watched the first 3 episodes.
That's like
so I like when I saw that they were removing it from Netflix, I was like, okay, so when it gets on Disney, I just didn't know. I thought it was gonna be like a long time before it got put on Disney. So I was like, sheesh, I really fucked up. But and I'm wondering, are they gonna you think they're gonna keep the dome at the end at the beginning of the episodes?
Nah,
or are they gonna?
It's gone.
Oh man,
it's gone.
That's crazy. So, but yeah, I'm excited. You think is the Defenders going to, or just
Defenders, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, I saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. Yeah,
every Netflix Marvel property is going to it. Like at this point, Disney Plus should have all their properties, barring some of the Spider-Man movies, right?
Spider-Man movies, and then like some of like the Fox like TV show ones, like Legion.
The ones on Hulu and whatnot. Yeah. Legion, Runaways.
Yeah,
they put Runaways. I thought they put Runaways on Disney Plus. No, okay, but no Legion, idea. Gifted, all that, the FX ones. Okay.
What's it called? The Dark and Light. What's it called?
Oh, Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger.
Never saw it.
I never watched it either, but I've heard that it was okay.
Okay.
I need to rewatch Legion because that shit was spectacular. One of my favorite Marvel.
Oh yeah.
FX show. Wait, have you watched it?
Nah.
I watched it.
No. Yo.
Yeah, I know.
No. I'm not kidding you. Watch that shit. Aubrey Plaza also is just fucking.
I mean,
I think that's her name.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Aubrey Plaza is just you have to watch it. Oh my god, no,
I know.
Really do.
I know.
Like before the month is over, I'm not hopping on another episode of Villains until you watch that show.
I bet.
I swear to God, I'm not hopping on.
It's good. It ain't that good. I just kidding.
All right. Yeah. This is my last episode. When Davey has watched. Legion and gotten back to me, and we've had a full-on discussion. That way, I know he's not
I
lying.
got you. I got you.
That's the next time you'll see me. And y'all think I'm joking, but y'all really you might not see me until whenever you finish. Y'all better hope his schedule's not busy. Y'all better hope.
So moving on to the next piece of news, I'm going to butcher her name right now, but Ariana DeBose, I know I'm butchering her name, but she is joining the cast of Kraven the Hunter as Calypso. So this is going to be interesting. You know what I mean? We know that this character had to be in the movie. It's interesting that it's this character. She was in West Side Story. Haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list. I believe it's on streaming now, actually, so I'm going to check it out. But are you guys, like, I want to keep gauging, like, your excitement level for Kraven the Hunter, because Venom 2, Venom Let There Be Carnage, is a fun movie. The second half of Venom is good. April 1st, we're going to see Morbius, and then Kraven the Hunter. So it's like, I want to gauge your excitement level. Like,
are we seeing Morbius? Is there not going to be another delay? The fact that
April,
they said April
it's an April Fool's joke.
like, nah, we got another delay. I can't believe y'all. It was that obvious. Y'all really thought. I always get excited when there's an announcement of a comic book movie. Like, you know, regardless, anything comic book related out, there's always a genuine excitement. But from there, it kind of just, you know, it's just steady. It plateaus. There's no more increase, and there's not really a decrease. The only movie that has seen a decrease in excitement is Morbius, because it just keeps getting pushed back. It's just fading to the back of my memory. Like, you know, I don't really care. Kraven, there's not too much that has been revealed, and it hasn't been overhyped and, you know, promised and then kept being pushed back. So my excitement level is the same. I'm looking forward to exactly what story they decide to tell. I'm not familiar with the actress, but she looks beautiful, and so I'm excited to see what she does with the character Calypso. And I am looking forward to seeing what other news comes out. But unless your name is Morbius, you know, I'm gonna remain as excited as I was about you as when the first time I heard about you 6 months later. You know.
facts. Yeah, I'm always at like this like medium level. Not excited, not like, you know, not excited, just like right in the middle. We'll see how it goes. Steve, what about you?
Oh yeah. For me, I'm excited about it just because of Taylor Johnson. I've become a bigger fan of him after the millions of times I've watched Tenet. Him as Pietro, I enjoy
He
just
got
his
robbed.
growth. Yeah, his growth from Kick-Ass to Tenet is like phenomenal. It's like I never would have thought that he was going to be this from what he was in the first Kick-Ass movie.
Facts.
And Adriana DeBose, I know her from like she's got a lot of stuff going on with the people that did Hamilton. Like she's in that mix with that whole group of people. So she was in Hamilton. I think she's like backup or something like that. But
Okay.
she's a pretty good actress. This will be a coming out party for her because mostly in Hamilton, she's like a background character. She's not a main type focus or whatever. So I'm excited to see what's going on with that. I don't know too much about Kraven other than what I saw on the Spider-Man TV series. So I'm actually excited just to learn more about him and about the character in general. So I'm excited about the Kraven, much like I could care less about Morbius right now. I'm hoping that Morbius is good just because Jared Leto could use that recovery, because if this bombs after, you know, the Joker and stuff, he might not recover back into action movies. He might have to just go somewhere else. Like,
You never know, man. Look at Ryan Reynolds. I mean, yes, X-Men Origins Wolverine wasn't his fault, but Green Lantern, that movie, like, he can turn it around, I think.
It'll be some time.
Yeah, but Jared's been taking a bit too many L's in the comic book and too close together.
In movies, period, recently,
movies
because people are not liking his performance in House of Gucci, like, at all.
Yeah, so it's just like, look, Jared, I mean,
I'm hoping that this is
the thing is, it's so like all right. He has one more opportunity, and that would be actually with Disney. You know, he's had his shot with Warner Brothers. He's having his shot with Sony. At that point, that's the last one. If he can't, if they can't help him, no more comic book movies ever. He ain't touching the bag no more.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a really good comic book character for him to play. I hope the script's good, because it's someone's job to make the trailers look good, and they look really good, but
and it's Sony. And that's the thing.
Yeah, man.
I don't trust Sony at all. So that's the reason why I'm not excited about that. And then like with Kraven, I'm like, oh, it's a Sony property still. But I've even heard rumors that Kraven might actually have Andrew Garfield in it. And that would be interesting if they somehow do something like that. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think they should make Andrew the Spider-Man of the Sony verse of movies. Because we know that the Sony movies are a part of the same multiverse as the MCU, but they obviously don't take place in 616, right? So I think it would be cool if you just give Andrew those villains. You know what I mean? Like Tom Hardy's Venom. Morbius is... I mean, none of them are going to be villains. I don't even think Kraven's going to be a villain, right? Like, I think they're all going to be anti-hero type characters. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's really what's piquing my interest with Kraven, is I want to see the growth of Aaron Taylor Johnson, and then if they do somehow throw Andrew Garfield in that, those are my 2 pluses for that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, but yeah, like I said, the Sony thing though, that's the biggest if to me in the whole situation.
Yeah, it's that, and I'm worried about how animalistic he's going to be in the film, right? Because we know that, he was changed, and now he has like all of these different like animal like senses and increased strengths and all of that stuff. So it's like, I don't know how they're gonna do that and make it not cheesy. So we'll see.
I'd rather them just be like a brooding dude with the freaking leopard cape and just make him just beastly. That's it. I would rather them just do that.
I've been rewatching the Resident Evil movies because it's great for background noise, honestly, while you're working. And
background noise,
quick.
yeah.
And then when you look at it, it's just like, oh, look, some fight scenes. All right, cool. Now let's move on. You don't even pay attention to the story, right?
What story?
They gonna make there we go. They gonna just thinking of Resident Evil. Kraven gonna end up looking like Nemesis.
Stop. Stop.
That guy ain't gonna have a patchwork like Nemesis.
He doesn't need that either, because he done had his shots with some superheroes. So he doesn't need that to happen. It's fair. Pietro, and I mean, Kick-Ass wasn't a bad comic book movie, but
I like Kick-Ass, both of them.
Yeah, I like them. So but Pietro, he doesn't need a second bad comic book movie. Don't do that to him.
Yeah, let's hope they not do that. Last piece of news. So it was released that the Spider-Man No Way Home release is going to have 80 minutes of new / behind the scenes content from the film. 20 minutes of that is just going to be footage from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So I'm really, really excited for this. I can't wait to see like what extra footage they have in there. 20 more minutes of Tobey and Andrew sounds great to me. I think we already got like a shit ton in the movie already. So I'm really excited for like the special features and the deleted scenes and all that. So Steve, I'll start with you. Like, how do you feel about getting like 80 more minutes of like new / like behind the scenes content from the movie?
I mean, why not? It's like, if the way that Spider-Man movie played out, it was just like you wanted more. But they just obviously they didn't want to just oversaturate the movie with just a bunch of like fan service and stuff like that. So yeah, give us 80 minutes behind the scenes footage and things like that, extra footage. And is this going to be on the at home, like whatever they decide to release it on, Disney or whatever platform, or is it going to be actually in the DVD Blu-ray?
It's probably only going to be on the Blu-ray, but I mean, it could be. They could put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, because I know like Disney Plus does do those behind the scene type things. So I was wondering if they was going to add that on there too. But yeah, I mean, I want it. And I think that's gonna make people buy the Blu-ray. Whereas like sometimes people don't like to collect, like some people are collectibles that buy Blu-rays, and then some people just like, all right, well, I already seen it, so I don't care. So it'll be interesting to see how many people actually buy this, because it's just like 80 more minutes and 20 more minutes being the other Spider-Mans. I think this is going to be some good sales for the Spider-Man thing, and I think it'll do more sales than normal Blu-rays and movies that go to Blu-ray and things like that, just because of the fact that this extra footage is there and people want it. They really want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, so they're going to want to see those extra scenes.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those collectors. Like I like watching like the commentary tracks and like the behind the scenes, deleted scenes and shit like that. Like there's always like cool hidden shit on like the Blu-ray. So I always collect. I like seeing any extra footage I can get my hands on. I'm a huge film nerd, so like figuring out like how they shot certain scenes, stuff like that's on the Blu-ray as well. So I like collecting, so I can check that kind of stuff out. But Abe, what about you, man? Like, how excited are you to get 80 more minutes of No Way Home and 20 more minutes of Toby and Andrew?
I'm not really a collector of DVDs and Blu-rays like that, so I've never like. I always thought like, oh, that's cool, but I'm not gonna go out of my way just to if it's on a streaming platform, sure, maybe. But that's great for the fans, honestly, especially all those who are big, diehard Toby fans. The debate between who's the best Spidey, who's the best Peter, who's the best overall, and the newfound fans of Andrew Garfield, or I guess the dormant fans who have been quiet until recently.
Yeah.
It's great for them. It's great for them, and so that's pretty cool for those who do collect and whatnot. I can't see why you don't get something like this, because No Way Home was a wonderful, fantastic, enjoyable movie, and it sounds like they're going to treat a lot of the collectors well with this one.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to get the extra footage. And I always jump back and forth on who's my favorite Spider-Man. I'm always between Tom and Andrew, because it's like with Andrew, like he's way better with like the quips and like I love the way he moves as Spider-Man, but it's like I feel like I could say the same thing for Tom, so it's like I constantly switch back and forth on which one I think is my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Andrew over here.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into. So that's going to be it for all of our news for tonight's show. Let's get into our comic book review of Batman Year One. Like I mentioned before, we wanted to do this Batman Year One review since the Batman is going to be following the events of Batman's second year donning the cape and cowl. So we wanted to talk about this comic written by Frank Miller, the art by David Mazzucchelli. Richmond Lewis was the colorist on this, and Todd Klein was the letterer. I love this comic. The dialogue in this comic is incredible. Frank Miller is one of my favorite comic book writers. The Dark Knight Returns is another one of my favorite comics, period. And it has a lot to do with his dialogue. And he does a really good job of portraying Batman's internal monologue. And those are some of my favorite things to read when I'm reading Batman comics. Is the internal monologue puts me into the mind of the detective, right? So I love every moment that I can get on there. But for those of you that don't know, Batman Year One recounts the tale of Batman's first year in the Cape and Cowl, and it also explores the life of Jim Gordon when he first moves into Gotham City. And it also goes between the two characters as they meet each other for the first time and then eventually come together to build the alliance that we know that they have in the comics and in the movies that we see in today. So I absolutely love this story. I feel like Jim Gordon gets just as much character development as Batman in this comic. It's the perfect parallel between these two incredible detectives. I love that chapter 1 starts off with both of them literally coming into Gotham at the same time, Bruce is flying in, and his internal monologue, he's talking about the fact that he wish he took the train so that he can be closer to the enemy. But Gordon's on the train, and he sees he's around the enemy, and all he can think about is he should have been on a plane, and he's definitely getting his wife on a plane. So we're gonna get all of these different parallels between these two incredible detectives and how they go about cleaning up Gotham. So, Abe, I'm going to toss it to you first. Just give me your general thoughts on Batman Year One as a graphic novel.
Look, look. I said I had some very strong words for this project, and it's this. This was the one of the greatest reads I've ever done of all time. I mean, as you already mentioned, the parallels between Gordon and Wayne and their rise to where they each were, and not just no like because we've seen people attempt to do it, and it's just like okay, but this one really got into the nitty gritty. Like we've really got to see it from their point of view, their thoughts, the dialogue, like you said, was A1. And I also appreciated just the way they depicted the passage of time, and they kept you updated and you knew what was going on even if we were jumping from one perspective to the other. This was like I didn't feel like I was reading a comic or a graphic novel. I really thought I was reading a an actual novel, like made by
Yeah.
one of the greats, as if it's a Tolkien book, a Stephen King book, that type of quality tier reading. I'm just like, this is amazing. And the fact that I do get artwork with it, just visuals, is even better. But this shit, wow, wow. What a way to tell both their stories and give them such great shine and great stellar character development. Like if you want to be introduced to Batman, or if you want a reason to be like, yo, why should I fuck with Batman? In my opinion, just read this. Just read it.
Facts.
I like the I really like the way that the like you guys said, the whole dynamic of, because especially after just seeing the movie, so like just seeing them in this, and it's you're like, you're pretending, in my mind, I'm pretending like this was the prequel to the movie. So
Yes.
like seeing their buddy the buddy cop thing, that the way that they played on things and stuff like that, and then you're reading this, and it's just like, yo, this is really really good. Like if you want to watch Batman or whatever, or if you already seen Batman and you haven't read this, you should read this, because it's really like a prequel, kind of, in a sense, with some things out of place. But for the most part, it's pretty much a prequel. And it's really good to see how their bond and their relationship grew in this comic book. And then you see it translated on screen with Year Two Batman or whatever that just came out. Like I really, really like this. I wish I would have read this before I actually saw the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you see the movie, especially, I love what you mentioned about how the comic chooses to display the passage of time. So the Batman kind of does the same thing, where it's just like he constantly journals every night. So it's just like, March 16th, the criminals, yada yada yada. So it's just like it's like this, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's why I love the movie so much. Like this is the closest that we've actually gotten to the Batman, dude. Like
Mhm.
incredible film. But let's keep talking about the comic itself. In chapter one, like I mentioned, we got the parallels between Bruce and Gordon coming into Gotham, and I kind of want to just go around and like get some of your favorite moments from that first chapter. Some of my favorite moments from the first chapter is Bruce coming back to Gotham, finally coming back to Wayne Manor. What's the first thing he does, right? He talks to Alfred, and then he starts training, right? He instantly starts training. He uses just his hand alone, breaks some bricks. He kicks a tree branch in half, right? The entire thing in half, right? And then we
Mhm.
get really incredible voiceover. I'm not ready. I have the means, the skill, but something's missing. I have to wait. I have to wait. And this is just the tease of the incredible like internal monologue that Frank Miller is going to be giving us throughout this entire thing. Another thing that I loved is when he hasn't figured out, you know, the suit yet. He doesn't know how to instill fear yet, and he just puts like a fake scar on his face, some makeup, and he's just walking the streets looking for crime until he finds it. And then he gets into like this quick fight with like Selena, and this is the first time that we see her in all of this. So I love those two moments. I don't want to take all of them. So Steve, I want to start with you. Like, what were some of your favorite moments of Bruce Wayne
Okay.
in this first chapter, and then we'll switch to Commissioner Gordon.
Okay, because I was about to say mine were Gordon's. Well, with Bruce Wayne, like even just like him, like just saying I'm not ready and stuff like that, and he was like something's missing. I was wondering if he was saying like is the thing that's missing is the bat suit, you know what I'm saying, or like he hadn't decided on what's his, you know, his overall disguise thing was gonna be. So that's what he was like pretty much saying was something was missing. I enjoyed like when his first encounter with Selena, where he's like, you know what I'm saying? He's like beating up them, and then Selena's in there, and then he kind of like doesn't pull, he hits Selena. And I don't know, is this an older comic or is it just drawn this way to look older?
Oh no, this came out in '87.
Oh, okay. So then yeah, it's like I like the fact that that dynamic was just like, yeah, she's a woman, and but she's the villain, so he punched her. Like I feel like in comics now they kind of just don't really show that too much anymore, just because it's wrong and stuff like that. But I'm like, I like it. I appreciate this. This
That's
is
equality,
Gotham.
bro.
Yeah, I was like, this is Gotham, and it's like she's dangerous. I got no choice. Like, and you know what I'm saying. So I really appreciated just seeing that dynamic of just him, just like just getting out there and getting in the nitty gritty and doing what he had to do.
Hey, what about you? What are some of your favorite like Bruce Wayne Batman moments from the first issue?
So,
Well, just Bruce Wayne because he's not Batman yet.
yeah. So, for sake of time, because I don't want to take up too much of it, because it's easy to just ramble on. My one moment when it came to Batman was actually leading up to the meeting of Selena. Just the dialogue in his head as he's like, "All right, I'm provoking this. I'm provoking this pimp. Like I really shouldn't, but you know what? All right, let me end it. Okay. Oh damn, they got involved. I was trying not to draw attention to myself. Oh man, I gotta get this. It was just like, bro, the whole, and even continuing on, because he's like, oh, they can't even when he got jumped, it's like they can't know it's me, you know. The whole setup, even before that, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping over it, but this whole sequence, because he's like, oh yeah, I need to go in disguise, you know, a distinct mark. I'm like, oh, just being in the mind of Bruce Wayne right now, knowing that it's not all like, yeah, everything goes as planned, like, yes, I'm perfect, this is exactly how it's going to go. It's like, oh shit, you know what? Yeah, I overestimated. I got too greedy with this one. Yeah, it's like, yeah, this guy is this. At the end of the day, this guy is human. You know, the way we the internet made laud him and whatnot. I mean, yes, DC even said like, yeah, he might be a superhero, he might be a meta, you know, whatever. He is still human, very much so, but it was so down to earth and so realistic for me. And again, it just read. I thought I was reading Robert Ludlum, you know, crime novel. Man, I thought I was reading that shit. I was so into it. I was so into it.
and and even like the qualities that he has, like they start off with the quality, the morale thing. He makes the cops wreck the car, but he's like, let me pull him out the fire. Like
Yeah,
it's just
even
like
these
the
corrupt
quality.
cops have families.
Like he's like, man, so it's like his qualities are still there from day one, and I like that too.
Yeah, like I love that entire sequence, and like you just said, Steve, like even though he knows they're dirty cops, he still saved them because he knows that it's right.
Yeah.
And like he's obviously he's bleeding out, and like my absolute favorite moment is the last 2 pages of this first chapter with Bruce, where he's sitting in Wayne Manor, he's literally bleeding out, and he's talking to the statues of his father, just trying to like get advice. He's like, I'm bleeding out. I could die right now. All I have to do is ring this bell, and Alfred would be right there. I need a symbol. And he's like I wrote down all of this dialogue because it's just so fucking good. He's like, I have wealth, the family manor, with a huge cave that would be the perfect headquarters. Even a butler trained in combat medicine. Yes, father, I have everything, but patience. I'd rather die than wait another hour, because I've already waited 18 years. And then we get this really great flashback to the night it happened 18 years ago. The Zorro movie, them coming out, Joe Chill. And then the dialogue continues. Without warning, it comes crashing through the window of our study and mine. I've seen it before somewhere. It frightened me as a boy. Frightened me. Yes, father. I shall become a bat. Dude, it just incredible dialogue, really good artwork, really good shading on Bruce as he's like in between the light and the dark trying to figure out which is his path, right? And man, so fucking good. Like, what did you guys think about that sequence?
It was the discovery of like what he feared the most, and it was just like he finally figured it out. He kept on saying something is missing, and it took him to get to that low point of bleeding out and just like kind of like I don't know if it's necessarily a low point, but just feeling like at a point where this is what the people that I'm going to be rescuing are going to feel like, and they're going to need something, some kind of hope and everything like that. So he's like, well, how can I put fear into other people's that, you know what I'm saying, that I'm feeling right now for, you know what I'm saying, for the hope that they're going to need. So I appreciated that. Like he got to that point, he's drawn out because he, like you said, he could ring the bell and then Alfred could help him immediately. But he's like, no, I want to use this moment to kind of like build on and like figure out what it is that I want to do and what I want to become and everything like that. So I like that.
Hey, what about you? Like, what did you think about that end sequence?
Look, for me, just the way you read it just got me really excited again because it. How else do you describe such stellar dialogue? Really, just the logical steps, the steps taken, the emotion, the the way you just get captivated just reading it. This is the moment right here. This is when the bat is born. Like this is the iconic
Literally.
moment in comic book history.
Mm.
Iconic moment. And we're provided because I mean, you know, how often do we get origin stories for Batman and whatnot? You know, it happens all the time, especially
All
in
the time.
comics. Everybody gets retcon. They have so many origin stories, but this right here is a very well done origin story. That again, and you're gonna hear this said a lot in this episode. That goes in depth into the character. It's not your simple like, all right, yeah, everybody knows the origin. Like, all right, cool. We're just gonna give you a condensed version. Now let's hop into the meat and bones and let's give you a villain. You know, mind you, Miller does have the advantage because this is written in '87. You know, but keep in mind, Batman's history is also way older than that too. So it's not really an advantage. It was just stellar. It was just stellar. I got goosebumps reading it. I got goosebumps.
Yeah, man, like it was such an incredible scene. Like him literally sitting there, bleeding out, looking for a sign, and a bat that scared him as a kid flies through the window, breaks the glass, and lands on the statue of his father. He's like, "Yes, I shall become the bat. This is how I will instill fear into the hearts of criminals." Perfect origin story, like you said, Abe. Like I absolutely love that. So let's switch gears and let's talk about Gordon, Detective Gordon, in this first chapter, because he gets a lot. We get a lot of development with Gordon and what he has to deal with the police in Gotham. So as soon as he gets in, he's met by Detective Flass, who instantly, like, pretty much beats the shit out of a guy that was just trying to sell Gordon a book. So instantly Gordon sees the type of detectives that he's going to be dealing with, right? He came to Gotham to tackle the corruption, right? To clean up the city. And this is his first look at it. And then minutes later, when he gets to Commissioner Loeb's office, you can tell within seconds that Commissioner Loeb doesn't care about the details. He doesn't care about real police work. And again, Gordon just sits back, assesses, and analyzes everything that he's going to have to deal with being here in Gotham. So Abe, I'm going to toss it to you. Like, what were some of your favorite moments with Detective Gordon in this first chapter?
Yo, okay, this is gonna sound really fucked up, but just bear with me. Just stay with me. When Gordon gets his ass jumped, right? Oh, fucking god, the dialogue, the internal dialogue.
Yeah, man, it's really good.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, oh wait, he actually might beat the ass. He's like, oh shit, he recognized this. I'm like, all right, shit, okay, Gordon, how you gonna get out of this? He said, and I'm doing this for Barbara. I know, I'm aware of this corruption and whatnot, and I know that this is not who I am. You know, I speak about this thing and I'm trying to stay clean, but I gotta also try to keep my head down. And it's like, oh no, these motherfuckers jumped me. Let me go repay the favor. Went straight to Floods, and he said, "No, I'm not gonna fuck you up. You know, there's so many ways I can kill you." He said, "I'm gonna give you a handicap," and gave him the bat.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's Green Beret. He said,
"It's been a while since I fought a Green Beret. Even though I'm pissed, he deserves a handicap."
I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, because it's like, oh, you know, I wish somebody would say something like, hey, but Flash was drunk. Like, you know, I mean, Gordon is just coming back fresh from an ass whooping. Like, the day prior, like this, he ain't well rested for this rodeo either. And then the fight scene and how he's like, oh, I could have done this, but I held back, so I didn't do that damage that it could have been. I could have taken out, I could have punched a hole right through your stomach. No, I didn't do that. I did just enough to leave you out the hospital like y'all did me. Now you know, don't fuck with my daughter. Don't ever mention her name.
Yep.
Bro, that shit was so fucking cold. That was my number one favorite sequence of events in that first chapter. Favorite sequence of events. That's why I was like, yeah, Steve, I'm with you. Gordon had the favorite moments. Like, you were like, all right, number one, like, favorite moment. You got to go to Gordon for that, dog. You got to go to Gordon for that one.
Yeah, Abe just stole everything. That's what I was pretty much all like. And then, like, it's just the fact that not only does he do that, like, he's the guy that everybody was, like Flash was saying, hey, people not going to like you because you're a good cop. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you too clean, you too nice. Next thing you know, he jumping them. And then now he getting his ass whooped by the good cop. So he can't tell nobody he got his ass whooped by Gordon because they're going to laugh at him and make fun of him. So it's like...
Left that man naked by the side of the road.
Hog tied him naked.
Bro.
You going to have to tell somebody that somebody did this. You ain't going to be able to tell him that it's me.
Yeah, Gordon's like, yeah, he's gonna fluff up the story, make it look like it was 10 guys.
Yeah.
But you know what? And this is why I love how the parallels is going. When that happens, what happens right after that? We're on Bruce, and he's like, I'm missing that thing. It's fear. I don't have enough fear. And I'm just like, well, look at what Gordon did. Gordon put fear in this motherfucker.
Facts.
Gordon definitely put fear in this motherfucker. And now Bruce is like, yeah, you see, they weren't scared of me. They weren't scared of me. I need to get them afraid. How do I get them afraid? It's like, bro, not back to back like this.
Yeah.
Not back to back like this.
It's literally parallels, just a whole different thing.
Yeah, this is where like the story structure just goes insane. Like the constant like switching back and forth between them, and then to have both of their final moments in the first chapter be complete like badass moments like this. Like this was great. Gordon standing up for himself, and then Batman finding the symbol of fear that he's going to use to instill on criminals in Gotham. This first chapter was incredible. I love this. And like real quick, I'll just talk about like we already kind of talked about, but just like Flass and like Commissioner Loeb trying to tell Gordon, yeah, like you're too clean. We don't know if we can trust you. And in that moment, like Flass literally runs a car off the road, and he's like, we just want to know that we can trust you. And Gordon's smart, you know, even when Flass beats up that one black kid, right? Like Gordon's like, you know, I'm not gonna do anything. Whenever it comes to turning in cops, you have to be very careful. So he's taking notes, he's taking it all in like a detective should. He's taking in all of the evidence until he can bring it forward to put him away for good. So it's like I love these incredible moments between these characters in this first chapter. Anything else you guys want to talk about from this chapter before we move on to chapter 2?
Oh, I think we covered it. That's pretty much, it was a pretty much straightforward dynamic with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into chapter number 2, War is Declared. This is the first time that Batman suits up in the bat suit, and the first thing that we see him doing the suit is stop some kids that were stealing some TVs. And this is another great piece of internal monologue. He's like, the costume works better than I'd hope. They freeze and stare. It gives me all the time in the world. Like I love that line of thought. Like he's doing the actions, but he's thinking about everything simultaneously, picking it apart, looking for ways to improve things that he could have done better. Even that one kid that almost fell over the stairs, he was like, rookie mistake, I got lucky, right?
Yeah.
So you're watching him go through the motions. I like the fact that he wasn't just perfect right out of the gate, right? Like there were some missteps along the way, and even in the process he sees that the cape and cowl, it all works to the mystique of Batman instilling fear in people. So that was one of my favorite moments. Another one of my favorite moments, I think I'm going to steal it from you guys, but it's when he walks into the house where Commissioner Loeb is talking to Falcone and a bunch of other crooked cops and other people, and he cuts the power, throws in a smoke bomb, and he's like, ladies, gentlemen, you've eaten well. You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over. From this moment on, none of you are safe. And then he outs the only flame that gives light in the entire room and then fucking disappears. Like such a classic Batman thing to do. Dude, these moments in this comic are just incredible, dude. So Steve, I'm going to toss it to you.
No. Steve, I'm sorry, JJ, I'm sorry. But yeah, he stole it. So I'm just going to elaborate on it before it could get even like further like beaten to death. But that is one of the sickest Batman panels I've ever seen. That whole page itself is so motherfucking fire. This man is the black and white, just the cape around him. Then right underneath that, as you so eloquently read, you just see you see the butler, you see the flame, and you see it about to be covered. You see it covered in darkness.
And they got that.
The next day, May 20th. Oh, yeah. That jar right there, that page in that first panel on that page 2 is low-key something that needs to be like framed as an artwork. That belongs in the museum. That really does. That was chilling. That was chilling, yo. It was so fire. And lo and behold, people, remember, I'm a Superman fanboy. I'm a Superman stan. It's Clark Kent to the death of me. It's the House of L to the death of me. You feel me? I'm Team Superman all the way. But this is, I gotta give it to Batman. This journal's fire.
Man, it's so cold.
Bro, and most of the time, like in some of the Batman stories, we usually get like conversation like as he's gotten somebody kind of like tied up after he's pretty much gave them that. But we don't usually get like dialogue like this before he implicates the ass whoopings. It's usually like punch, punch, punch. Now where is he? Or saying stuff like, we don't usually get like this type of dialogue before he starts fighting and stuff like that. So I think this is like piggybacking off of what he did with the first chapter, how it ended, how he's instilling fear. This is like that dynamic. He got it in this point. He's like, I know what I'm gonna say. I wonder if he rehearsed it, like, oh yeah, this is how I'm gonna get him with it. Like, because like that dialogue before he even comes into the room, like really starts throwing punches, it's like, yo, he said what he said, the lights go out, and I'm sure all you're hearing is like the little punches and things like
Yep.
that. Somebody getting flipped over a table, and you
Limbs
just
being
like,
broken.
you just shook. You just in there shook with a full belly. You just you like, I can't even move the way I want to because I'm full. I just ate. So it's just like that. That was like a really, really good opening scene. Well, yeah, first couple panel scene.
Yeah. Any other favorite Batman moments from this chapter?
Oh, for the entire chapter. I'm gonna scroll through.
Yeah, because I mentioned like when we first seen when he stopped the kids that were stealing the TV. If you wanted to mention anything about that.
Oh, so yeah, like with that scene, it's more so like he's just like he still has to catch him, but then he's like, as that's going on, he's still getting attacked from the other kids, and it's like, you know what I'm saying, it's a rookie mistake because usually it's just grappling hook. I place it and I can continue fighting real quick, and you're just hanging now, dangling from the down. So now he's like got to catch him, and as that's going on, he's getting hit and things like that. Also at the end, towards the end of this chapter, he's gotten shot a few times and he's still like limping off and running, like trying to get to safety and things like that, but he's still like showing feats as he's being shot, just showing how strong Bruce Wayne really is. This character in general is just really is like, he's really just a beast. And but I'm thinking, since this is year one, obviously this is before he starts getting ballistic armor, so he's gotten
Right.
shot a few times. Like, these are things that we know, like, okay, so he's been shot a few times in his first couple years, so now this is why he wears ballistic armor, because like, these just, it's just like cool to have those dynamics of knowing that this is how it all started, and just like, okay, well, that won't happen again, like, you know what I'm saying, and these little things like that, just these little ones and twos that that changed his costume for the better later on down the road.
Yeah, and I think Detective Gordon steals this chapter as well. Like, he has another set of incredible moments in this chapter as well. Just to kick off where the chapter begins, but with Gordon getting the call that there's a hostage situation going on at an orphanage, right? And Gordon, absolutely fearless, trying to stop the SWAT team from just going in guns blazing and probably killing these kids. He takes out his gun, walks in completely unarmed, and then we get the dialogue. I hope Barbara isn't watching. I know she is. And then he walks in and just completely levels this guy, takes the gun from him, drops him to the floor, saves the kids, and becomes a hero. Absolutely love this moment from Gordon in this chapter. So Abe, I'm gonna toss it to you. Like, what were some of your favorite Commissioner Gordon moments from this chapter?
At this point, honestly, all my favorite moments y'all keep taking. So I'm just gonna have to just piggyback off of you guys and just continue to highlight just the dialogue, just really the internal dialogue of Commissioner Gordon while he's going through each and every step. Like, we're literally right inside his mind, taking every single step he takes, seeing it exactly as he does. Everything is very linear and very clear. There is no confusion. There is no moment of hesitation. There is no confusion of like, oh wait, why would he do such a thing? Like, why didn't he do this or that? It's they basically telling you. That sequence of events as he rescued the kids was just really dope. And you're right. It's Gordon had a lot of we call this Batman Year One, but it's like, hey, featuring Commissioner Gordon Year One, because this
Yeah, man.
honestly is what it is. Gordon is just carrying as much of the successful weight in this series as Bruce was. And as a Superman fanboy, I can't, it kind of sucks to be sitting here and constantly just gushing over Batman and Gordon like this, as if like, I mean, like, let's be real, you know, Superman is that nigga anyway. Superman better. Like, we could have this moment. The Batman movie just came out. Don't worry. When the Superman movie drops, we're gonna do the same shit. You feel
We
me?
will.
So, you know. But yeah, it was good. This when you get to after reading chapter 1, you're just you're ready, you know. And you jump into chapter 2, and honestly, for me as well, the chapter pages when it tells you what chapter it is and the image provided, those are really really good. They really do a great job of setting the tone.
Facts.
Because when it said war is declared, just the image of Bruce, it's like, oh, I'm like already I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm getting ready.
War ready.
I'm suiting up. Yeah, I'm getting war ready. They hit so well. So I definitely wanted to highlight that, you know, because sometimes people don't pay too much attention to the either the cover page or the inside cover pages. You know, they just go straight. All right, which page one? Let me get the panels. Where the panels at? I already know this chapter 1. I don't care about that, but let me get to the panels. But this one was very well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah. Mark, to answer your question real quick, so I have seen the film adaptation. It's very faithful. The only issue that I have with it is that it cuts out like a lot of internal monologue, and it cuts out all of my favorite internal monologues. So that's an issue for me, especially since like I read it first. So like it's missing a lot of internal monologue. Gordon smokes a lot in the graphic novel. He doesn't smoke at all in the movie, which doesn't matter. It's not like it's a part of his character or anything. But yeah, for me, it's good, but it's missing a lot of internal monologue that kind of, you know, it's not as good without the internal monologue. So it's just okay. But Steve, what about you? What were some of your favorite Gordon moments in this chapter?
One of my moments that I liked a lot was him at the range, and he's shooting, and he's kind of like talking about how like the bullet tearing through paper is not the equivalent of what I would have to do if I shot someone in person. And he's like, I hate my gun, I hate my job. And like it's just that like kind of like monologue of like, they have us shooting paper targets, but we're not going to be using this on paper. We're going to be using this on human flesh. And just that internal dialogue of just him coming to with terms that like eventually I'm going to have to use this in this city because of, you know what I'm saying, pretty much his first couple weeks in the city, he already done been jumped by his own people. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, I'm gonna eventually have to use this. And it's just like, just him having that I hate the gun, I hate my job type of attitude, just because he's like, if I was shooting this, if I shot someone in this spot, it would hit their spine. They would never walk again. And he actually talks about stuff like that. And then I like the like subtle, like kind of like conversation he has with Detective Flash, who's in the neck brace. And he's kind of like, anything you want to contribute to the conversation. Like, it's kind of like, he's just like, yeah, I beat your ass and you got to play it off like it wasn't me. Like, I like that, like kind of like the pettiness of that. Like, I'm in your atmosphere and you got to see me every day type thing. Yeah. So I like that about Detective Gordon. Well, he's Lieutenant Gordon in this, you know, run or whatever. But I like that about him.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorite moments. Just like that entire scene with like Gordon and like the task force talking about Batman took out like 70 assailants in the past like month and a week. His operating hours are between midnight and 4 a.m. and he's working his way up the crime ladder, working from like dealers all the way up to distributors, the whole nine, right? Just working his way up. And this comes later on, I believe in the next chapter. But I love that Gordon is struggling with, should we be arresting the Batman? I mean, he's saving people. He's trying to uncover these corrupt cops, which is the exact same thing that I'm doing. So I love that he wrestles with that as well. But we'll get more into that once we get there. Something else that I really like about this is that Gordon is constantly thinking on who the Batman could be. So in this chapter, he goes to see Harvey Dent, you know, who had some charges, was trying to put some charges against Commissioner Loeb, but they got dropped because I think a witness got disappeared or something like that. So he goes to talk to Harvey Dent. They talk for a little bit. He asks him some questions, ruling him out as the Batman. And then we get a glimpse that Batman and Harvey Dent have been having conversations with each other, working together in the city. So I like that, and I kind of wish that they kind of expounded on that just a little bit more. But this is a story just about Gordon and Batman, so it is what it is. And then we get to that sequence, what you were talking about, Steve, where Gordon and the police officers are shooting after Batman. He runs into this abandoned building, and then the commissioner decides to literally drop some bombs on this abandoned building. And I'm like, how did you even get this like approved, right? Like, don't you have to talk to like the city? It's like, nah, it's okay. We're just gonna drop some bombs. It's cool if we kill some vagrants. As long as we kill the Batman, everything's fine. So it's like, Abe, I want to toss it to you first. Like, how did you feel about that sequence? How did you feel about like the lack of ethics from the commissioner, the police commissioner, and them dropping bombs on a building just to kill one vigilante?
Well, for me, it was just like, well, look, we've been told from jump that this is not Commissioner Gordon yet. This is his origin story. So let's tell you who was in that seat that was so vacated for him. Let's show you how corrupt. Like, it's not just everybody. When we talk about Gotham, for most people who know about Gotham, they know corruption is on all levels: political, law enforcement, even the underbelly. But it's just like, look, we're gonna show you just how much of lawlessness really existed. That a goddamn commissioner, can drop bombs like we out there in wartime across the sea. Like, yo, you in basically New York. Like, what? What? You can't do this, But this is how much people don't give a fuck in Gotham. This shows you just how bad it was for both Bruce and for Jim. Like, this was no easy task. It's not like, oh yeah, just like no, you have people who are willing to go to drastic measures just to do whatever they want. And they can get away with it because no one has stopped them for years. How do you curb that in? You can't just enact laws and whatnot to make people be like, oh, all of a sudden we was on 100. You want us to go cold turkey 0?
Right.
Fuck out of here. I'm gonna keep doing this my way. Hey, you gotta fight fire with fire. You understand? And that's what Bats was all about. And even Gordon understood that. That's why he was lenient on some shit. But yeah, honestly, that was good. It was good, This is a great series. It really is.
Yeah, man.
It was like, and then Gordon's all like, well, he hadn't hurt nobody. Like, he's all like, hey, drop those bombs, Brandon. he's like, hey, do what you got to do. Do it now. Do it now. Because it just showed that Batman's whole persona was to instill fear. So in a sense, there goes your fear. Like, they're so scared of this man or what he could possibly be or become that they're willing to drop a bomb on him in the middle of the city. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know who's around. There's, you know what I'm saying? Like, the other cops are down there too. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know how big this explosion could be. Your own cops are down here, and you just like, as long as we get Batman, like, that's all that matters.
Like, dude, you're not even concerned about the other officers? Like, nah, we good.
Yeah. Hey, y'all better get down. I said he about to drop him. Y'all better move. But it's just one of those things where it was just like that just showed how much fear he had installed in him. And then, like Detective Flash has said, I don't think he's human. You know what I'm saying? He beat up this many people. So they might feel like, they've shot him twice. He's saying that he done all this other stuff. So they probably feel like he ain't human.
Yeah, stabbed in the leg, shot 3 times, I think.
Was it 3? I know it was the leg and the arm. Yeah, it was 3.
Your leg and shoulder. No, I think you're right. It was just a leg and the shoulder. Yeah, and then he got stabbed in the thigh as well. Yeah.
And it's just like, and he's still running. And not only running, he ran through a bit. Like, I think he disarmed one of the female detective. And so it's like he's doing all this while wounded. At that point, the commissioner's like, yo, man, do what you got to do. And then after the explosion, he still sends the SWAT in. It's like, what do you want?
Make sure he's dead.
What do you want at that point? But yeah,
So let's get into it. So they drop the bombs, like you just mentioned, Steve. The commissioner sends the SWAT team in to double check, make sure that he's dead. So moving on to chapter 3, Black Dawn. So this chapter is pretty concise. It's pretty much just Batman versus the SWAT team, and then we get a couple stuff with Gordon and his little affair. So let's get into what are some of your favorite moments from the fight between Batman versus the SWAT team, because he fucks up a couple of those cops.
yeah. Oh, for me, it was just that little whole sequence of just like the cops running. Like at the end of that chapter, is it the end of that chapter or the beginning of it? It's the very end or the very beginning of the chapter. They show the SWAT like running in, and Batman is behind them. So it's like you guys ran past him.
Yeah, it's the very last page of the last chapter. Yeah,
it's like y'all ran past him, and this just shows how like wounded, explosion, all of that. He's still the master of the night. Like he is behind y'all. Somehow you guys went straight through it and he got behind you guys. It just showed that like that ninja like ability and everything that we know about Batman. And then just I like that. I like that panel so much just because he's like hiding in the rubble, like directly. It's like, dude, y'all went straight in this building and y'all still didn't see this man. Just like, it's crazy. And to all the people that be saying Batman don't have a superpower, this is always my argument. Batman got some kind of superpower because this man snuck up on Superman, who can hear conversations from miles away, and he snuck up on Superman a few times. That's a superpower. I don't care what
he's
y'all
a
say.
ninja, man.
Like I don't care what y'all say. That's a superpower. If he can hear,
he trained for like 12 years. Yeah. Like the determination, bro.
Yeah, so like, but just like I love that little panel. I like just seeing how sneaky he really is and things like that, and how he can just manipulate and move around the room.
Hey, what about you? What were some of your favorite Batman moments?
Oh, Steve, yeah, no, that those were really good because it made me think of all the Batman movies or shows you've ever watched and how they utilize that like that mystique of him arriving and using the shadows to hide or using the absence of light to hide and starts just throwing hands and beating everybody's ass. Like it reminds me of the scene in that I will see in the Batman movie that was part of the trailer. Like it made me think of that, and I was like, oh man, I'm really about to see this shit out of it. I'm really about to see this shit in live action soon. And yeah, I feel like it's gonna hit just like this. It's going to hit just like this. It was so fucking fire. Like, yeah, oh gosh, I'm turning into a Batman fanboy. All right,
as you should.
I'm done. I'm no longer. I have to leave. I got stuff to do. I'm out. I'm done.
Another thing that I really liked was like he was surrounded, and it was really realistic. It's like, how does Batman get out of this situation? So he calls the bats, right? And we get obviously the really amazing like voiceover where I didn't write it down, so I'm paraphrasing, but he's talking about the fact that he's been working for so long on the ultrasonic technology and he hasn't tested it at this distance, and like using the bats as like camouflage for him to be able to get out. He also uses it as camouflage from like the surrounding snipers. They can't get a shot because they can't see him through the swarming bats. So it's like, I love how he's able to use the bats in this way in order to get out of this situation. Again, this is year one Batman. He's learning, right? In other iterations, in future Batman stories that we've seen, we know he would have been able to get away from the police a lot faster. So I do like that Frank Miller took his time, and it's like, yeah, this is still year one. He's figuring it out, but he thinks on his feet, and he thinks really quickly on his feet too.
I have to ask a question. Sorry to interrupt. It's like, why do you think that? Because, you know, of course, I said it earlier. We've seen Batman's origin story so many times in many forms of media and whatnot. But again, Batman started back in the 30s? Or was
40, 43?
Was it Superman in the 30s?
Superman should have been like 1942, something like that. I'll have to look it up.
Somebody started in the 30s. but I know that Superman and Batman started around each other. Anyway, but yeah, 40s like
38.
38
Superman
was
started in 38.
okay. So Superman was 38. Okay, so Miller wrote his John in 87. We've had different iterations. He decided to take his time. How come we haven't seen people decide to actually take their time with some of these origin stories? Like I feel like they're missing out on really giving us quality material. Like yes, we've kind of seen a good number of them the same. Like it's always Joe Chill, it's always the death of the
Mm-hmm.
parents. But the way this one went about, and I guess because you comboed it with Gordon, but some people like if you were to slow down and give me a really dope 12 issue series for Superman of him becoming of Clark Kent becoming Superman, I fuck with that. I
Yeah,
fuck
year
with that.
one in the suit.
Yeah, that'd be fire. That'd be fire. I just want to say it because it had me thinking. I'm just trying to find reasons to just fawn over Superman again and to cleanse myself of this Batman talk. You feel me?
But let's switch over to Gordon in this chapter. So Gordon, so he was investigating Harvey Dent, and Sarah Essen, she mentions, what about Bruce Wayne, right? Like, this Batman guy has a huge arsenal. For someone like this to get around the way that he does, to buy all of this material, he has to have money. We haven't seen him in years, and then all of a sudden he comes back, and now we have this Batman character, right? And then Gordon, he's like, well, that's a really good idea. So they're working the case. They go to a diner, I believe. They're talking, and then they decide to catch a cab home together, right? And this is where him and Sarah kiss for the first time, right?
Mm.
So this is where things get a little bit awkward and a little bit complicated for Gordon, and even the internal monologue, alludes to him knowing that it's wrong the whole time, right? Like, he
Mm.
knows that it's wrong. He knows what he's doing is wrong to Barbara, but he's infatuated with Sarah, right? Like, she's a really, really strong woman. Like, she's a brilliant detective. Like, she's on his level. She's a good cop. So it's like, you get why, they would be interested in each other, but he still crossed that line, right? So what did you guys feel about Frank Miller introducing this element into Gordon's life in his first year in Gotham? Steve, I'll start with you.
It showed that he was human, and it humanized him to not be the perfect cop, because for the most part, he's not doing anything dirty. He's not killing. He's got all these like perfect things going on, that he was like the Boy Scout per se. And then now he's not only, basically having an affair on his wife is pregnant. You know what I'm saying? At this time too. So it's like this is a tougher, situation. Like cheating on your wife or whatever, that stuff that happens, I guess in comics and things like that. But cheating on her while she's with child, with child and stuff like that, it's like, yo, you hitting deep right there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that just really, really, in a sense, humanized him a little more, because it took him off that pedestal of him being like this great cop to like, okay, so he's a great cop, but he's still a human or a piece of shit, however you want to see it, human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that I really like that dynamic that they put in there, because it showed that he's not perfect and things like that. So he has his flaws as well.
Yeah, man, nail on the fucking head. Abe, what about you?
Yeah, for me, we I wanted to see how they decided to show that uh he's not as perfect as we think he may be, as everybody else thinks, just because it really captured that, like, yo, no matter what, whether you're good, whether you're bad, whatever, Gotham paints you in some form or fashion. You're not
Yeah.
exempt. No matter how much good you do, you're not exempt. So when we look at a character like Bruce Wayne and his persona Batman, he's doing good for the city. He's not doing it in the best ways that would be like, hey, especially when he first started out too. and most iterations like, hey, this is justifiable. Like you're no, you're still vigilantes. Okay, I won't get into that type of talk. But it was just like, hey, Bruce, chill. You know, you're taking things a little too far. Remember, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. You're doing this in the name of justice, but you got to break some bones. And then you have Commissioner Gordon, who's like, no, I'm trying to play this shit by the book. And it's like, oh, I can be upright in one area, but that doesn't mean it equates and it travels into the other areas of my life. You know, committed infidelity on a pregnant woman. Like, that's infidelity itself is wrong. But
yeah,
she's pregnant with your child, and you cheat. I. So yeah, I appreciate that it really captured just how much Gotham taints the soul, and that no one is exempt from it. No one.
facts, dude. Yeah, man, dude. All of this, you're gonna get a lot out of the Batman when you see it. Like all of this stuff that you're talking about, everything that we get in this, like there's so many interesting, not direct parallels to this, but the ideologies of Bruce and Detective Gordon. You're gonna see all of that shit in the Batman, man. I can't wait. So also simultaneously in this moment, Selina Kyle sees everything that's going on with Batman and the cops, and she strangely gets inspired to don a cat costume and decides to become Robin Hood in her own right? Like stealing from these corrupt politicians to help herself, right? In the graphic novel, it's very apparent that she's a dominatrix. You know, so it's like she's getting out of that life. She punched the shit out of her friend's pimp, takes her, and it's like, we're moving out of this. I'm gonna become a cat burglar, and this is how we're gonna make our living from here.
You know what? Let's be real. I know. Look, I know I'm gonna get some looks. The last time we've seen any iteration of Catwoman that was at least somewhat close to this dominatrix version, in my opinion, just at least aesthetically, was Halle Berry's Catwoman. I mean,
Which was a mistake.
You got dominatrix vibes from that suit, and I'm just saying.
It was that movie is a mistake. It's like you can tell that it was written by fucking dudes, and it's like, you know what? Women don't have real problems in this world.
Yeah.
What's the villain of this movie? Face care products. Women don't have real problems. Face care products. That's the villain. We got it.
The movie was good, but I'm saying that at least the suit and whatnot. I saw this and it made me think of this. I was just like, oh,
amen.
Because normally we don't touch upon this one origin story of Selina Kyle. You know,
yes.
people like to, when they've cleaned it up a bit, you know, they're like, nah, we can't. Selina like this? Nah. Oh, no way. You know, that might upset those who believe that that Batman don't eat kitty cat. You know, it's just like, hey, if he was messing with this Selina, he gonna eat kitty cat. I'll tell you that right now. He gonna be eating. Look.
Steve, what about you? What do you feel about this turn from Selina? Because it's kind of weird. It's just like, well, you didn't decide to become a vigilante. You decided to, okay, well, I'll dress up like a cat and become a criminal.
Yeah, it's for this, because it's the 80s, I guess, and it's always been wasn't, for the most part, it was Catwoman was a villain, and then she became like kind of a vigilante cat burglars later on as time. So I think back in the 80s, that makes sense to just be like, oh, this what makes her become a villain, or, you know, whatever. I thought it was interesting, just the fact that, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to save my friend, which was vigilante-ish, you know what I'm saying? I'm saving her from a pimp. And then she's like, but I'm also going to do bad stuff. And it's just like, okay, well, and I mean, in a sense, that's what you need you need money and whatever to support yourself, now that you're not going to be hookers anymore, I guess. So you need money. So I guess what better way to do it than to steal it from the people that you know have money, because you've been around those people sexually or
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah, so
Because I mean,
it's a
the
way.
type of people that go to dominatrix and those types of people are politicians, like people in like
Mhm.
high places of power, because they're constantly in power and they want to be dominated, so that they're not in power. So it's just like she knows, like you said, Steve, she knows exactly who to rob, what
Yeah,
times, when to go. Like, yeah, man. Works out. She
yeah.
could even get some of her prostitute friends to keep them busy while she robs them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, fuck it. They don't need the
So
money.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, I mean, it works out. It plays out, and in a sense, is it villainy or is it vigilante? They just didn't know how what to call it back then.
Yeah.
Back then, so she's like a cat Robin Hood, cat burglar Robin Hood in a
Yeah.
sense, you know.
All right, so let's move on to chapter 4, the final chapter, Friend in Need. So in this chapter, this is where we get more of a convergence between Gordon and Batman. This issue is really Gordon centric. This is where Gordon and his wife actually goes to Wayne Manor and interrogates Bruce, right? And Bruce is there with this woman that's sitting in like this like lace lingerie, and something that's not in the graphic novel that the animated movie did really well, and I thought it was really funny, is that Bruce is only wearing a robe and he kind of like puts his leg up on his other leg, and you can see like Gordon's wife kind of like looking under his robe, because and you can tell from her reaction that he's completely naked too. So
Mhm.
he's just doing all of this stuff to like play up the billionaire playboy sleaze bag, so
Mhm.
that Gordon doesn't think that he's Batman, right? Because his excuse was, oh yeah, I was on a skiing trip the last 3 weeks. That's why my legs and my arm are in a cast cap.
Yeah, yeah. It's like no, I shot you myself.
Yeah. So
But
what do you guys think about Gordon interrogating Bruce Wayne and us getting the first interpretation in this world of the billionaire playboy persona?
So for me, what and something that I didn't iterate earlier. Well, I kind of hinted at when we spoke about the parallels. It's just before we were getting like those close misses, between the two. But in chapter 1, when he's speeding, well, to go beat some ass, and Bruce is escaping from getting his ass beat, they nearly crash. And even Gordon was like, "Man, I should stop that dude, but I got other things to worry about. I got to focus on other stuff." And it was funny. People were like, "Was that Bruce Wayne?" Yeah, he's probably on coke. They all do coke. I read it somewhere. I'm like, well, I mean, this is true. Apparently. So now that we get there first, like, all right, let's go face to face. It's as if this unknown chess match between the two has officially started. Before it was as if they were just circling the table, not knowing where to sit yet, not even knowing who their opponent was. All they knew was that, all right, I'm facing somebody and they're also rotated. We're filling each other out. And then now we're sitting at the table. But for Gordon's perspective, his opponent, Batman, he still doesn't know that it's Bruce. It's still a mass figure to him. Whereas Bruce has a better idea. He knows, all right, I know who I'm dealing with. And I love that play, the strategic play between the two, and especially what it means for their relationship, historically. This was really good. The interrogation was really good, and I do want to. I haven't watched the year 1 film. I'm definitely gonna have to watch it. I'm probably gonna save it for tomorrow.
I'm about to say,
Yeah,
is that
Pretty
on
sure it's
HBO
on.
Max?
I
it's
feel
on
like
HBO
I
Max.
feel
Yeah,
like they finally put all the animated Jones. I feel like they're all up there now on HBO Max.
yeah.
Yeah, the DC
It's
animated
really
Jones.
good, but you are going to miss the internal monologue from Gordon and Bruce. Like,
No,
you get
I
some of
don't
it,
doubt it.
but it's missing, and it hurts. It hurts the
Yeah,
movie,
but I feel
honestly.
like it's better. It's better having read it and then going fresh into it. Whereas, like, all right, I can fill in those gaps, for
Right.
sure. It's
Yeah.
like a companion piece. It's a companion piece to the graphic novel, in my opinion.
Yeah. See, what about you? What did you think about this interrogation with Bruce, and like getting our first interpretation of him like playing up as the billionaire playboy?
I felt very Tony Starkish. It was like he was doing a Tony Stark impersonation. He was like, "This is not who I am, but it's who I need to be for this particular situation." And like you said, he's in the robe, and the wife is there with him, and I mean, they didn't show like you said, but I'm interested to see how that played out in the movie. Because if he's like opening his legs up like to show her too, it's like dog in front of my wife. It's like, dude, she pregnant. Like, but like it's just that whole like situation. And then like he says that this the reason why he was out of town and everything was the ski trip and things like that, that he couldn't be this person because he was out of town, et cetera, et cetera. So I just thought that was really cool. And like that dynamic, it was like it was kind of almost like L and Light for Death Note, because Light knows who,
Yes.
like he knows that L is looking for him, and he knows like kind of about him. So it kind of gives you that like that kind of dynamic where it's like Batman, well, Bruce Wayne knows Gordon is looking for the true Batman, but it's like I know a little bit more about you, so I have a little bit of an upper hand than you do. And just that little dynamic of just watching them play cat and mouse and everything like that. I like cat and mouse type thing as far as like this, catch you if you can
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are like some of my favorite like cat and mouse type stuff. So
Definitely. And this is where the story starts to wrap up as well, in terms of like trying to get some of these criminals behind bars, right? In between this chapter and the last, we saw that Detective Gordon turned over Flass over to internal affairs, right? So we saw him do that. He's trying to protect one of the key witnesses, but Commissioner Loeb is trying to get one of the key witnesses killed. But because Gordon's a hero, he can't just get rid of Gordon, right? So what does he do? He hires some guys, hires some thugs to kidnap the man's wife and child, which is absolutely fucked up. So Loeb calls Gordon into the station, gets in the car, he drives there, but then he sees the car that passes him, turns around immediately, and finds these guys loading up his baby and his wife into this car. And Gordon doesn't wait a single moment. He's like, if I let them go, they're gonna kill my wife and my kid. So without a second thought, he kills the two guys holding his wife instantly, and then tries to get after the thugs with his kid. Absolutely love that sequence. Gets into this car chase with right before that, actually, he sees someone comes up on a bike, shoots them, and this is where we realize that it's Bruce, right? And then he makes a promise to Barbara: I will not let your son die, I promise. And then he goes after them. We get that epic chase with Gordon on the motorcycle, with them on the car, and then they're fighting on the bridge. Bruce literally jumps off of a bridge to catch this baby, which I thought was such a Batman thing to do, such an incredible thing to do, because this is the mission, right? Like, he wanted to make sure that no child would ever have to go through what he had to go through, make sure no one would have to go through. And I love this incredible moment between him and Gordon. And I feel like it's kind of up in the air whether or not you believe that Gordon actually saw his face. I don't think Gordon saw his face. I think he was for real, where he couldn't actually like see the details of his face because he didn't have his glasses on. But I mean, some people think that he did see him and just like looked beyond it because he literally just saved his son. So, Steve, I'll toss it to you first. Like, what was some of your favorite moments in this chapter before we get to the final things that happen at the end?
well, yeah, like I love the fact that, like you said, Gordon is like, I'm not taking any chances. He immediately kills. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that shows that there's the parallels that we've been having with Gordon and Bruce Wayne, and then that's where it shows that shift, where Bruce Wayne is like, he probably still wouldn't have killed. He would have tried to figure a way to rescue without doing this. And Gordon was like, fuck that, you dead to rights, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty much what it was. And it was just like, I love the fact that he did that, and it was furthermore showing that he's not perfect. He's still human, where he doesn't have the whole the patience that Bruce Wayne has, who's been waiting 12 years to get this type of revenge and things like that. So he has a little more patience. Where Gordon is like, my child, my wife are on the line. He's doing anything with which is what a normal human would do. My wife, kids, you trying to do something, more than likely you react, you retaliate, more so than Bruce Wayne, who is a superhero who is a hero. His job is to save people. He's not going to necessarily do that right away. So I love the fact that we've been getting that parallel, and now they're starting to slowly kind of drift a little bit as far as like their character personality traits are drifting a little bit in that direction. Um, and then just the fact that Bruce Wayne jumps off and saves him, and it just shows more so of the Bruce Wayne, the Batman. Like, this is what he does. He saves people. He jumps off a bridge to save a baby. Like, yo, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. And to your statement, I don't know the Detective Gordon thing. If he saw, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't really. I never even thought about that until you just said it. I just was thinking like, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for rescuing my child. And that was it. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I'm
so
saying?
this is another thing that the animated movie expounds on just a little bit more, because in the graphic novel it's pretty quick, so you
Mm.
don't really get that exchange between them to what I just described. That's really only in the animated movie, and I think it works pretty well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Abe, what
for
about you?
me, it again, that idea of, you know, Gotham taints everyone, it corrupts you in some way. Yet while I did say that for last chapter, the opposite can also be true too. Is that because of all the corruption and the taintedness that occurs, you still have people who are just so selfless, you know. And Batman did that by just not without much of a thought, just jumping off to save a baby.
Mm.
Most, let's be real, 99% of people aren't about to do that.
No
That's
gear,
suicide.
nothing.
Yeah, that's suicide.
Yeah.
But he did it because of, like you mentioned, the promise that he made to himself for others. That is selflessness. It may not be gone about the best way or the most kosher way, the most agreeable way,
Mm.
but goddamn, can you be mad? Can you really be mad at just what he's willing to put himself through, the situation he's willing to put himself in to save others? You know, that in itself was really really dope to me, and I love just the way it really brought it home as we begin to wrap up. And then, look, I really really need to see the movie because I'm curious as to how the movie portrays it. But I like to think that, nah, Gordon didn't see his face, because it builds up the hype, it builds up on the relationship, by you dragging it out some more. Like, yeah, Gordon still doesn't know who he's dealing with, he doesn't know the identity. It really focuses on the relationship between Bat and Gordon, more so than a possible Gordon and Bruce relationship. That Bat and Gordon one is the one that we really care about, because that's the where the parallels are. Those two characters right there are sides of the same coin, two different sides of the same coin. And I feel like you don't want to reveal that, hey, it's Bruce automatically like that. Nah, I feel like you gotta continue to play on that. Leave it mysterious. Leave it mysterious.
Yeah, I wanted to say mysterious too, but I love the way that this all wraps up. Like, it all comes to fruition where in these last two pages, we see Flass on the stand giving up Commissioner Loeb. Apparently, he kept detailed documents, so now Loeb is under indictment for racketeering. Um, I'm sure Flass is gonna get some kind of deal, but it also shows that Loeb kind of like made sure that his like lead sniper guy, I believe it was Brendan, I think it was, like, he pretty much like snitched on him and made him the fall guy. So it's just like, that guy's gonna get what he deserves as well. And then we get this final piece of dialogue from Commissioner Gordon on the roof, where he's talking about someone is threatening to poison the Gotham reservoir, and he's calling himself the Joker, and I've got a friend that could help with that. And then that's where we cut to black, see Batman on that final page, and that is the end of Batman Year One. I think this comic is absolutely brilliant. 4 issues that tells the origin story of the first time Batman ever put on the cape and cowl, the first time that he ever really partnered with Commissioner Gordon, him moving to Gotham City, trying to clean up the corruption of the city, even though he knows that it could be a lost cause. This is something that both of these characters have in common. They both somewhat believe that it's hopeless, but they can't stop. Right, they have to keep going, they have to keep trying. And yeah, Mercenary, Batman Begins took a lot of inspiration from Batman Year One. There's a lot of elements in this that you can see in Batman Begins, and Nolan did a really good job of adapting it. And like Steve mentioned earlier on in our review, once you see the Batman, there are aspects of Batman Year One where it's like, man, this really could be a prequel story. Obviously, like, the events or stuff are different. Like, Catwoman starts off and goes in a completely different direction. There's a lot of things that's different, but there's a lot of, like, the internal monologue, him journaling, like, the days and the events, like, all of that carries over from Year One. The relationship between him and Gordon just picks up from where it is from here, and you can see that relationship in the film. So I absolutely love this comic. I thought it was amazing. The artwork is just okay, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not like my favorite thing, but it's good enough for what it is, especially like the silhouette moments with Batman hiding in the shadows,
the
like
time period, you know,
It's the
and
80s.
the time
Yeah.
period.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
you
So
know,
it
it's
is
typical
what it
style.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I absolutely fucking love this. If I had to pick a favorite issue, it would be Chapter 1. I thought it was just the perfect intro to Detective Gordon and the Batman. So that would have to be my favorite chapter. Abe, I'm gonna toss it to you. Let me get your favorite chapter and final thoughts.
Favorite chapter has to be chapter 1, because from jump it really captured you, it really set the tone, and it really like hooked you. And that's always important, especially when you're reading a series. You know, some people, not saying that, oh, you don't like the build up or anything, you can still have proper build up in just one chapter. And this chapter did that, and then the continuation throughout and the connectivity between the chapters was really good. So chapter 1 was definitely my favorite chapter. Overall, I enjoyed it. I'm really glad that we got to do this review. It makes me super excited to finally watch the Batman later this weekend. And man, it's just, you know, like I said, it's still Superman to the death of me. You know, I still support the House of L to the death of me, but Lord. And anyway, Darkseid and Batman don't see eye to eye anyway. You know, Batman was a little too disrespectful to Darkseid. So, all right, and you're not gonna hear me talk about Batman anymore. I'm done. I'm over it.
Steve, what was your favorite chapter? And let me get your final thoughts.
All right. So chapter 1, but I would say chapter 2. The first dawning of Batman in the suit is really dope. Chapter 1 is my favorite, but you guys said it twice already, and we're not going to beat a dead horse. Um, so like chapter 2, and then just that page that we saw where he's saying, you know what I'm saying, or he puts out the light and everything. That whole page, that panel was really dope. So I'm gonna go chapter 2 just to be different. Overall, this was like really fun, especially after just watching that Batman movie yesterday. So it just really brought some more excitement to it, just because of the fact that I do this all the time. When I watch something, I end up going down a rabbit hole and getting into a lore of it. And right now I'm like on a Batman trip. So like when we leave this, I'm going to go watch that Batman Year One movie or whatever, the animated movie and stuff like that. I'm just going to fall into a rabbit hole for the next week of just Batman. Like, why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm probably gonna revisit some of my favorite comic book storylines. Check out Batman Year 2, also pretty good. Not as good as Year 1 in my opinion, but Year 2 is really good. Yeah, I'm gonna revisit a couple Batman comics and some movies too.
War of Jokes and Riddles, man.
Yeah,
That's my shit. I love War of Jokes and Riddles. That's like one of my favorite runs. I would like for them to animate that, honestly. I think that
yeah.
would be really fun.
Yeah, I want to do more comic reviews like this one. I thought this was a lot of fun. This review structure was a lot of fun too. So, I want to do a lot more of these. I think like we might do like maybe a comic review once every month or twice a month. I don't know. We'll talk behind the scenes and we'll let you know, because this was a lot of fun, and like I want to get more people into comics, and I think you
And
would
we
do a
this
really
is
good job.
JV. You already know. I got plans. I got ideas. Oh, trust. Oh,
Okay.
big trust. Yeah, we going I'm gonna hit you. We gonna talk about it.
And this is
Bet.
in between like though that run though, like when we have the break. Because when we do the Moonlight reviews and stuff like that, those
Yeah.
last for 10 episodes or whatever, or 8 episodes. So
Yeah.
be kind of tough to do like a review and do Moonlight. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah,
unless y'all
we're
down.
definitely not gonna do that.
I was about to say unless y'all down.
No, like in between when there's like no like weekly shows that we're reviewing, yeah, we'll review a comic, because we'll need a whole episode just to do that, you know. So yeah, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, DM either one of us individually, or just hit up the C4S Twitter. Let me know what comics you guys want us to review. I would love to do more. Hit us up about graphic novels that you want. I would love to, branch out, talk about more shows, talk about more comics and whatever. Let us know on Twitter, DM us. You can message me on the website, email us at carefulforspoilers@gmail.com. Let us know what you guys want to see, and we'll do it for you guys. Abe, where can the people find you?
Look, y'all, you can find me on Twitter at Prince_A That's Prince_ALAWAL. That is my same handle on Twitch. You can find the Mad Prince. I stream every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night after the show. Catch me in about an hour and a half. I'm getting sweaty on Dead by Daylight. Actually, I'm about to finish eating after we get off here and warm up a little bit with another streamer, and then before I start my joint, catch me also in a podcast whose return will be in April. I can guarantee you that
Yes.
is when, and it's coming back very different. I well, not really different. It's just if you've been rocking with Ocean Ape since day one, then it'll be familiar to you. For those who are recent, it'll be very different to you for sure. Definitely check out Inside the Mind of a Blerd podcast. Visit the merch store. That's where you see this Hit Mob shirt. That's where it came from. Visit Careful for Spoilers, obviously. Anime Lately, obviously, excuse me. Also, Mayanaka Mixer. And definitely check out the homie Spicy Lady Gaming on Twitch. You will not be disappointed. So appreciate y'all for having me. Of course, JB, you know I love it here. Thank you, everybody. You know how we do here at the Villains.
Yeah, man. Always happy to have you. Steve, where can the people find you?
You can find me on all social media at ScubaSteve1428. You can follow the ItMob page, which is the Blerd Mind Pod, and it has a link tree that can lead you to all of our ItMob members that have Twitches. One of our persons is now a Twitch affiliate. I'm not going to say his name, but you know who he is. We also have like YouTubers with Black doing YouTube, Hydro and Alpha are doing YouTube and on Twitch. Bo's on Twitch. We have our ItMob store. We have a Patreon that we just started last month. We now have 4 Patreon members. And we're just gonna keep trying to grow. We're gonna keep on adding more content to it. Hopefully soon we can start the Are You Smarter Than a Blerd gaming show that we're going to do, and then we're also going to be starting Pokemon Showdown on Sundays, so that was going to be pretty interesting to see how that's going to flow out. But other than that, man, that's pretty much what we got going.
Yeah, you guys can follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive. Follow me on Twitter, talk about movies on there. Anytime I see a new movie, I always do a social media review. I always talk about comics on there as well, anime, I talk about games. Follow me on Twitter if you want to see that. Go to carefulforspoilers.com. It is our hub. You can find absolutely everything that we do there. You can find links to all of the podcasts on the C4S Podcast Network. You've Got to See This is coming back really soon. Brad and Blake are going to be doing their own in-depth spoilers review of the Batman. Check that out. They're also going to be talking about all of the films and actors and directors they think got snubbed at this year's Oscars. And then, of course, they're going to have a recap of the Oscar ceremony. So we got some things cooking up. We're going to be doing some more stuff here on Villains. I actually want to review some more horror movies with Abe. I know that we talked about it, but all of us here on the council are really busy, day jobs, doing our own podcasts, our own networks and shit. So trying to make it happen, but be patient with us. But we will be here every single week on Villains. Next week, like I mentioned before, March 11th is our full spoilers breakdown of the Batman. We're not going to be talking about any news. It's just going to be on the Batman. We're going to be talking box office, the current Rotten Tomatoes score at that point, and then, like I said, a full breakdown from beginning to end. I can't wait for the rest of the crew to see it. Make sure you guys are following Vash at Legendy Vash all over social media, following Anime Lately on social media. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube so you can watch Anime Lately podcast every Thursday. Also seeing Shonen Ronin every Thursday, where the crew breaks down the latest Shonen Jump chapters. And yeah, check out the merch store. Just put up some new shirts on there, some new hoodies. Got a lot of great stuff coming for you guys. And until next week, we will see you guys on the next one.